Yeah, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another great episode of the JCA Sports Podcast here on the John Konavi Facebook page and the Star Six Media Facebook page too, as well, along with our other social media platforms: YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. Riding solo today, which is fine, which is good, which is great. I got this. We got this. I got this. We're all good here. Daddy duties for John. First of all, happy birthday, Eva. Yeah, Eva turns 4. Yeah, I FaceTimed her earlier. She turns 4. I almost forgot. But yeah, happy birthday, Eva. John's doing his daddy duties, and so is Jose. So hey, they're great dads. They got to do what they got to do. Liam already on here saying hi. What's going on, man? How are you today? So I'm riding solo dolo today, which is good. Don't worry, I got this under control. There's nothing to worry about. I am about to put the link on the page too as well, so you guys could join me later on or during the show. It doesn't matter when. Put up the link. There it is. I posted up for you guys right there on the John Konami Facebook page, also the Star Six Media, and also YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. So you guys, whatever link you want to go ahead, click on there. You are more than welcome to join me, whether for a small segment or throughout the duration of the show. Completely up to you guys. But there's a lot to get to today. Second half of the season is about to start this weekend actually tomorrow, I think, for the NBA. I just want to get something out. I just want to see how do you guys, now with the acquisition of Pat Beverly, what do you guys or how do you guys feel about the Chicago Bulls, going on forward? Where are your thoughts on that? I'll give you mine. I know exactly where I'm going with this. Pitchers and catchers reported last week in baseball. I just want to know where you guys about your team. How do you guys feel about your team, Cubs, Sox, or any other team actually, whoever you guys cheer for? Because we do it all nationally too as well. New rules are implemented this year, so it's going to be pretty exciting and probably a lot of question marks on how these new rules are going to impact, the first what month and a half, maybe 2 of the baseball season with these new rules that are implemented. So we're going to see it about that, and I just want to know all this smoke that's going on in the Chicago Bears for this number 1 draft pick, and also for our quarterback. Why is there so much smoke? And is it really a bad idea? I mean, I was on the show last week celebrating my girlfriend's birthday. I love. So this wasn't, I wasn't part of it. So I'll give you my 2 cents on how I feel about that. Liam says, I know my team will do really, really bad. So, I mean, hey, so we got a lot into again, guys. Hop in on the comment section like Liam here, or you can join me. Click on the link provided here, and then we will chat around. But let's start with the NBA. Let's go for the Around the Association. I also want to know your guys' prediction on what team would you guys like to have, or what team in the NBA will make that surprising jump that is in the playoff, out of the playoff, or in the play-in, out of the play-in. What teams that made these moves before the All-Star break will be the one team that you're going to keep an eye on making an impact, whether if it's a championship run, whether if it's a playoff run, doesn't matter. I want to know what you guys think. Liam says he's a Pirates fan. Ooh, yeah, it's gonna be bad, but yeah, it's gonna be tough. Real tough. It's okay. It's all right, man. It's all right. Yo, I'm Rick on Facebook, on YouTube. Sorry, he says Jalen Carter at numero 4. That's not a bad pick. That's not a bad pick. I like that. That means we're trading back, and I think that's just the overall um, scenario for everybody in the Chicago Bears in their market when they're gonna do. But we'll get into that later. Last week, the boys touched upon these moves that the NBA felt or they did before the trade deadline. Everybody did their own little thing. The Bulls didn't make a trade, as everybody knows, but they did get somebody off the buyout market in Pat Beverly. They needed a point guard. Chicago's very own Pat Beverly. It's not the answer, and I don't think even that's going to be the answer. Anyways, I really didn't see there was going to be, unless if it was that Kyrie trade or something along those lines. Even I kind of Russell Westbrook. I even flirted a little bit with John Wall. Okay, but then I seen how John Wall was, man, and yeah, that guy, yeah, he whatever he had, he lost it. Whether if it was the injuries, the time off COVID because I know he was hurt during or in around COVID too as well. So I even flirted with that, but no. I don't. None of the point guards, none of the situations outside of Kyrie Irving or making a big splash for Kevin Durant or anything like that would have made this team even interesting to watch, right? So I put it on our group chat. I think it was the Star Six Media group chat where we have all the guys in there, right? And I said I'm gonna be really positive about the Chicago Bulls from here on out, right? But positive in a way not to make the playing game or playoffs or whatever, because that just screams out basketball hell, mediocrity, all that, all the above, right? I'm in a positive way where a loss is a win for me because I'm in the realm now. It's like this team is not going to go anywhere. I think they should lose as many games as they want. I'm like the Jose of 2018 Bears, or not, was it 2018 2020, whatever year it was where the Bears made the last time into the playoffs against the Saints and lost. That he wanted more losses than wins. He didn't want to go into the playoffs. Um, but John and I did. I'm Jose from them, but with these Chicago Bulls. And the only reason why I'm saying that because there's no point of trying to salvage this season whatsoever to for what? Right? Salvage the season for what? That should be the question, right? Salvage this season for what? And as you guys can see right there, how do you guys see the second half of the season playing out for the Chicago Bulls? That's what I want. I want you guys put it on here in the comment section. Give me guys what you guys think. Even like I said, too, what NBA team also are you looking or is more interesting for you now for the second half of the season after these acquisitions that they made for the trade deadline? But even then, so like I do not see a scenario where the Chicago Bulls come out on top out of this. Yes, if you follow heavyonbulls.com, if you follow the diehard Chicago Bulls fan page, if you follow any of those Facebook pages that pop up over here, I'm Rick. He says Pat Bev is going to jumpstart a near miss playoffs for the Bulls. LOL. Ginger over here says I'm a Reds fans, by the way, hitting each more than other teams and any other team by pictures is pretty great. Oh, wait, I read that completely wrong. I'm a Reds fan, by the way, hitting each other more than any other team by pictures is pretty crazy. Yeah, and then here we go. Deontay, Uncle Day, what's up, buddy? He said, what's the over-under and how long before he gets into an altercation with Zach? 6 games? 7? Under 7? Is that too? Is that like too little? Is that too little? And you know what? And there goes Jose right there. What to do, baby? Taking care of his kids, doing on daddy duties. It's all, man. It's all good, man. Have fun with your kids. I'm Rick. He says 5 games. 5 games. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think 7 is probably like the perfect margin to where the altercation will happen for the Chicago Bulls. But I think this is what this. I think the Patrick Beverly, even Russell Westbrook, even coming into this team, right? I've always said we need somebody. He said I say 2 weeks, which is roughly about 7 games. Yeah, 7 to 8 games, roughly around there, right? I do believe this acquisition will bring out one or two things. It would either be, probably the start of a revelation of something that the Bulls making this playoff push into the play-in game or whatever the case may be, or we will probably see the true colors of a certain player that he can't handle the heat even after he got paid, right? And I know we got into a very healthy debate in our group chat the other day on how I personally feel about Zach, right? But the case may be he's gonna show the true colors of what this team really is representative, and it's going to weed out the main problem. Some say coaching. All right, great. I think overall this team is just horribly bad. But I'm going to be more positive on this. I hope for more losses. I hope that the Bulls go on and tank the season and look as bad as it did. That's the only thing I'm hopeful because they are closer to. I'd rather have that 48% chance of getting the top 4 pick than being in basketball hell or in basketball mediocrity or whatever the case may be, whatever term you want to use for our Chicago Bulls, and just and just be there. It's just like, okay, we made the playoffs. We have now somewhere a pick between the top 10, between 10 and 20. For what? For what? And that's not even our pick. It's going to go to Orlando, right? It just it just frustrates me that last year we were just up on this roller coaster ride and how quickly we came down. I don't even like roller coasters, and I just hopped on this one, right? It's not that I'm scared. Well, I mean, it's how should I say it? Anyways, that's not the point. I'm not going there. The point is that me personally, I just don't understand this fall from grace, how it happened. And people could say like that Alonzo Ball injury was everything the case may be. I feel like it's a little bit more deeper than that. Right. Let's go into the comments real quick. Ginger says, "I ask me if 6 or 7 games is too little. Is Pat Bev too little?" I think it's mainly more the attitude that he's going to bring in. Look, something about Chicago, right? We love to rally around our players who are from here. Obviously, you've seen the Derrick Rose effect, right? And obviously, how quickly we turned on him, right? Even the little stint from what was it? Dwayne Wade. Who else played here for a little bit? I think what wasn't Okafor who not oh my god, Jabari Parker for a little bit. Who played here? Who's from Chicago? Like we carry or we love our players that are from here that play for our teams, and obviously you're seeing more for the Chicago Bulls, right? And I think the Bulls fans in general would love Patrick Beverly a little bit more than anybody else, and I think he just rises to that occasion simply because he's from the backyard. He's right here. He lives right here. Like he's from our very own backyard. He knows the grind of what it is. What does it be to be that blue collar Chicago hustle, Chicago fight person? And I feel like this is going to be that reason where Pat Beverly, if something happens and he says something and he does something and he goes off, and there's an altercation, about 80%, 85% of the people, maybe the number's a little bit too high, but there's going to be a majority of Bulls fans that are going to be behind Pat Beverly because they're going to see that the reason of maybe it's coaching, maybe it's this, maybe it's that, but the main issue is that the person that's going to be more under a microscope even now that Pat Beverly is here is Zach LaVine. Dude got paid. Dude hasn't been playing very well. Let's be honest. I was an advocate speaker last year saying, do not give this man this contract. Don't give this man this contract. They give him the contract, and it's kind of like we get the occasional single digit point scoring. We get the occasional he scores 20 points, but he's like 1 for 27 from 3. And I know I'm over exaggerating on these numbers, right? There's even games where he scores 35 points, a board and an assist. And it's those type of games is like, okay, cool. Like the Bulls are mainly more, and yes, the last year, complete opposite. We beat the bad teams, we struggle against the good teams. This year, we beat the good teams, we struggle against the bad teams. Okay, why we can't mesh it together? I just feel like it's been a lot more. I think it's ever since, and I've took a deep dive on this too as well. Like ever since DeMar DeRozan went back to back game winning shots, everybody kind of cradled around a little bit more of DeMar DeRozan on this is the guy, this is his team, this is this and this and that. And Zach LaVine's last year of this contract, and Zach kind of felt like, dude, I've been here for the last 3-4 years. Like, why, where's my love? How come y'all didn't love me as much as this? I've seen it. And yes, and maybe I'm stretching it, right? But it's also if you played in these type of environment, type of team sports, like you kind of know and feel and like just look at the body language of others. Like guys don't kind of really care for each other. Guys don't really, it's beyond playing basketball. Yes, you can blame Billy Donovan for the adjustments. Yes, you can blame, AK and Eversley for the structure of the team. Yes, you can do this and that. Like those are the easy scapegoats and stuff like that. But sometimes it really does be on the players. Jose says, I think he'll bring much needed toughness this team desperately needs. But does it bring wins? Does that toughness bring wins? Does Pat Beverly distributes the ball the way how he's supposed to? Is that the answer to it all? Toughness is one thing, yes. And this Bulls team desperately needs a guy who is basically on your ass to like hustle and bustle and do this and do that. But I feel like there's a level of egoness and divaness in this team, in this Bulls roster, that will be rubbed the wrong way, and there's going to be an altercation to where, like, even this is all fun and games, and we're laughing, and like, how long will it be for an altercation? It's bound to happen. Me personally, I'd rather prefer the losing, the circus, and all that bad stuff, that bad publicity from the Chicago Bulls, simply because we get a better draft pick. Now, again, well, let's go back. This organization, this GM, this regime so far had one top 4 draft pick, and they ended up getting Patrick Williams, and a lot of people are not happy about that. Okay, great. I get it. We could have had Halliburton, like CP said a while back, and things would have been a little bit different, right? But even then, it just doesn't look like this team is together playing as a unit, not because of the coaching, because of the players. There goes CP right there. Speak of man, he's like, I don't look at Pat Bev as much for distribution, strictly toughness. And exactly. This is not the way. This is not the team that needs a Pat Beverly just for toughness, and that's like the missing link. Like, we need to get on defense because everything else is better, right? Jose goes and says, "We damn sure we ain't getting that from the coach." Again, it's beyond. I personally feel, being that guy that's been with a bunch of dudes in one dressing room, on even though it's a different sport, but it all comes down to the same thing, where you're just in that one huddle with your teammates and stuff like that. I think it's mainly more beyond basketball at this point. Again, maybe I'm stretching it. Who knows? I'm bound to do that every once in a while, right? But I just feel it. And there, in this conversation that we had in the texting between the Star Six Media guys, I think John brought up a perfect case of an example of that, to where, like, for Valentine's Day, like, they were giving out lollipops and suckers or whatever the case may be to the players, and he said Zach LaVine was the only one that didn't smile. So that right there indicates to me, or it should be indicating to everybody, that this is becoming a one-person problem instead of a team function type of thing. And a lot of people don't want to believe it, or at least in the group, people don't want to believe it. But it goes beyond that, and it's just one of those reasons to where, like, you give this guy this amount of money and liberty and doing all this, and yet he's still not your best player on this team. And then and arguably, depending on who you talk to, he's definitely your second best player. And some people, and I've talked to some people outside of our little Star Six Media circle. Excuse me. Some people are actually starting to believing that he's your third best player in this team, behind Vooch and DeMar. Now, I think that's a little bit too much of a stretch, right? He's definitely behind DeMar. This team is definitely DeMar's team, no matter what you see it. And it's sad to say, because the money doesn't go that way. But for people to say Vooch is the second best player in this team, and then it's Zach LaVine, it's kind of like, I know where you're going with this. It doesn't sound bad, but you still lean a little bit more Zach because of the athleticism and everything he can provide. CP goes 1-4. We keep the pick outside Orlando. It continues to struggle. I'm thinking, but to be honest, we definitely have a shot at Wemby, considering we lost 6 in a row. And he kind of agrees in a way. It's a stretch. It's not crazy considering he's not playing up to par. So I mean, this is what happens, right? And I will keep preaching this until the end of the season. But I'm gonna be very positive about this. I'm hoping for wins. I'm hoping for losses. I really want the Bulls to lose, so we can have that number 4 pick, or at least have that possibility, have a better possibility of getting the number 4 pick, instead of being in basketball hell and basketball mediocrity in the playing game for the playoffs, and or even for whatever the case may be. If you advance and survive and advance the play-in game and go into the playoffs, whatever. But I rather prefer the fact that you lose, you keep losing, and that 48% chance of you getting the top 4 pick sounds better to me. Ooh, yes. The show is getting a lot more better today as I got my boy CP in the building. CP!
Man, they is gonna really leave
Come
you
on,
like
preach it with me, brother. Come on, man. Tell me that the Bulls need to lose way more. Like they should not win a single game for the rest of the second half.
I would be happy if they lost every
Thank you.
single game from this point because what are you gonna do? You're gonna make the play in and just losing the play in. Where's the excitement in that? I don't see them getting past. They're obviously not getting past a top 6 seed, and they're
Nope.
probably going to lose in the play in against those competitive teams who are fighting to get there. Like I just don't see any scenario where the Bulls get in the playoffs and somehow make. I mean, look, we got New York right there, Miami's right there, Atlanta just
Yep.
fired their coach. They might be on the way up. I don't see us being Miami or Atlanta or Toronto, considering they got Jakob Pertl now. They're probably going to start playing better. Washington, Kuzma, and Porzingis have been great all year. We can't be any of those teams in the play-in, so why even try to get there?
And the crazy thing is, and everybody will say this, and I feel like Jose will probably be the first one out here to say this too, right? And maybe John, but mainly more Jose for sure, is that we've had a better record against these good basketball teams, these so-called playoff contending teams too, as well, right? For the entire season, and I get it, right? And I understand that, but there's a difference when you play them Wednesday night and then you don't play them for another 3 weeks, and then you play everybody else in between. Like this should be this is a 4 game, this is a series. A playoff is a series. This play in game, yes, is one and done. Okay, great. You can have your opportunity there. But the moment you hit the top 8 and you play against the number 1 seed, you play them 4 times guaranteed. After that, if you win one, that's 5. Great. But for what? You're absolutely right. For what? What's the reason of making the playoffs? Because last year we preached we wanted the Chicago Bulls back. We wanted that feel of Chicago. We wanted the consistency, the relevancy of the Chicago atmosphere back in the NBA playoffs. But not playing like trash. Not playing like trash. It just feels like we're back into those good old days of the baby Bulls trying hard. They don't even try. This
That's what I'm
team.
saying. There's no try. We have 3 All-Stars on this team. That's what hurts the most about us having a 26-33 record and being at where we are in the East right now. There's no reason we should have this record. I don't care if we don't have a point guard. We have 3 All-Stars on this team. Whatever way you want to look at it. Vooch is an automatic double double. Levine averages 25. DeMar averages 25. That's too much talent on one team to be where you are. And I can see why Jose always acknowledges the coaching issue because like you got to find a way to fix that, man. You got to find a way around this whole no point guard thing. But at the same time, like Zach, like bro, like have some, like where's your IQ? Like I watch these games and I'm just like, where's the IQ? Like
I
you
agree.
didn't play like this last year, bro. Like
No,
you
and I think
made
it
the
was a lot
smart
more easier
play.
for him last year because the ball really wasn't in their hands a lot, right? Outside of DeMar DeRozan, who was hitting these clutch shots after clutch shot after clutch shot, and obviously he didn't even miss, and the Bulls were in every single game because he was riding the hot hand. The moment that it switched off, it's kind of like it cooled down because I do honestly feel CP like ego got in the way of this team.
Without question.
No matter how you claim it, no matter what you say, I really do believe Zach LaVine really did get butt hurt on those back-to-back game-winning shots, and then I felt like it started crumbling down from there, and then
From
it just
last
got worse
year,
with Lonzo.
those back-to-back game winning shots from last year by DeMar,
Yep,
you felt like people started to look at DeMar like,
like
this is
he's
our
the guy.
guy.
Like he's the guy for the Bulls. Like because Zach did the dirty work, right? He was here in the bad teams. He was here being the main guy. Like Deontay over here saying it's good being the superstar on a bad team. Like you like those were his words. I may just alter him a little bit, but those were his words. He's like sometimes being the superstar on a bad team just shows out just a little bit more. And then when the talent came around, it's kind of like he kind of took the back seat, and then he definitely took the back seat from us, the Bulls fans here. I know I personally did that. Once DeMar hit those back, like this is DeMar DeRozan's team, and then Zach LaVine is just here for the ride. And I felt like that was the moment because all the due diligence that he did of being this bad team, being the guy, keeping them up there. But basically, he really didn't do anything to help this team come up from the rubble.
He was just a reason to put butts in the seats, to be
Pretty much.
honest. Like,
And I
who's going to go
agree.
to a Bulls game if Levine wasn't playing on that bad team? It was just, he was all we had. Any source of excitement, he was all we had. So it's like, now you bring on all these guys. It's not about just you anymore. It's about the team. Everybody's DeMar's good in his own way. Vooch is good in his own way. Like, you brought some, some young pieces in. Pat Will, Io, and Lonzo was supposed to be the centerpiece. I feel like he's the most important player on this
Yeah.
team, and it's showing to me. Not the best player on the team, but the most important because it's showing. Right. I don't feel like the Bulls would be performing as bad if Lonzo was there, but Zach, he's not putting the team first right now, and we're seeing it. We're seeing it when he comes down and takes a transition contested three when all you need is a layup or something. Like,
Exactly.
it's superstar ball. It's what I deal with when I play basketball with these people out here. It's all one-on-one superstar ball. Like, it's all about me. Like, I want to show you what I can do. Zach, we know what you can do, but but not at the expense of costing the team's wins. I would say he's costed us at least 4 or 5 wins. If you watch some of these close games we've lost, he's costed us
Yep.
them.
Yep. Definitely. And I agree with you 100%. It just seems very very damning. And it sucks that hard fall from grace and where the Bulls were on the mountaintop of the Eastern Conference literally about a year ago,
Literally.
or a year and a couple months actually. We were the number one team in the East, and then all of a sudden, just one player goes down, hasn't came back, and the Bulls haven't been right since. And simply because Lonzo Ball was literally the focal point of moving the basketball around. And it says something when Lonzo goes down. He was our best 3-point shooter, even though he didn't shoot a lot of threes. He was a more efficient 3-point shooter on this team.
42%.
And and him going down is kind of like everybody else was just like, okay, well, what do we do? And it just sucks. Yo, I'm Rick on YouTube says CP should make an NBA podcast on Star Six. I am so down for that one. If you have the time and day, I would definitely love it, and we definitely will hop on that one every single week. But hey, but we'll talk about that a little later on. CP, the JCA Sports Podcast here on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch under the John Konavi Facebook page, and also the Star Six Media Facebook page too as well. Guys, make sure you follow us on all our social media platforms: YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, Instagram, and TikTok under the Star Six Media platforms as well. Make sure you guys always like and share all of our episodes. We're talking about the Chicago Bulls. How do you see the second half of the season playing out for the Bulls? That's the question out there for everybody out there. Me and CP are on the same page. We're right here. We're I. We want the Bulls to lose every single game from here on out and give them the best possible chance in getting a top 4 pick. A loss is a good win, and a win is a bad loss for the Chicago Bulls. That's how I'm looking at it. I'm being very positive on the Chicago Bulls from here on out because of that standard right there, CP. We need change. We need a drastic change, and this offseason is very key. This offseason is very key for the Bulls' organization to either A, revamp, or B, blow it up. Obviously, we're losing Vooch as a free agent at the end of the year. DeMar DeRozan, I think, has 1 more year left in his contract. We still got 4 more years stuck with Zach LaVine and then everybody else. We are going to see. I think this offseason is going to be super key for Mark Eversley and Arturo Karshnovis, and what their plan is for the Chicago Bulls, not only for this next season but for years to come. So, you have a team that's the other question for this one, CP, and I really want to know, and I think I know your answer. But what team has you most excited for the second half to make either a playoff push or B, a championship run?
We know what Milwaukee and Boston is. It's going to come down to those two in the East, like it always does. If Giannis can get healthy, Middleton, I'm a little worried about. That's what I'm iffy about Milwaukee. Because normally I'd say Milwaukee, but Middleton he hasn't been the same since that injury he suffered against the Bulls in the playoffs. Like, he's been down. Boston is an amazing story. They continue to just rack up W's even without Brown in the lineup. Robert Williams gone. They just been it's just been all Tatum, and they're still finding a way to pile up wins. Boston deserves a hell of a great. They were in the finals last year. I know Golden
Yep.
State, outsmarted them, but like you want to say Phoenix because all that star power there, but I'm just a little worried about their depth, and I'm worried about KD is coming off an injury. You're gonna have what? You're gonna play all these guys 40 minutes in the playoffs,
Yep.
and they're all
It looks
injury
like
prone. CP, Devin Booker, they've all suffered injuries a lot. And you want to what? You're without depth, so you're going to force these guys to play all these minutes. I think that's a recipe for disaster. So I know a lot of people been saying Denver out the West, but I'm still not exactly sold on them. It's to me it's Boston right now. Like I see no reason they shouldn't be able to like take it over this year or get it done this year, considering how bad Golden State has failed and Steph, who knows when he's coming back. I just think Warriors caught lightning in a bottle this year. I don't see that happening again. I mean, yeah, hey, not to doubt these guys. They always find a way to wake up and get it done. But I'm not sold this year on Golden State. So Boston is probably the team I'm looking at to like actually get it done this year, considering how consistent they've been and like the perfect team that they kind of have. Brogdon was a key piece in getting.
yeah. No, I mean, they're all good teams. I'm surprised they didn't go the Lakers route. I thought you would actually have a little
I
bit.
I would have if they. It's just they're 5 games on. They have so much work to do in so little time. Like I would love to see it happen. Obviously, I would love for that, but I'm not getting my hopes up for it considering there's still 5 games under 500. So you got to fight to get back to 500, and then you're still fighting to get up the Western standings. They have a lot of work to do. They literally have to go like 16-7 or something like that to even like have a good chance to get up there. But
It's possible though,
They
CP.
they they did look good before the break. They did look good. AD gets all this rest, LeBron gets all this rest. So it's like as far as making it up the Western standings, I would think the Lakers would make it to like at least the semifinals. But asking them to beat Phoenix, Denver, well, I think they can beat Denver personally. But Phoenix and the Clippers just scare me a lot, man. They always do. We always have a tough time against those teams.
No,
But
Dallas overrated.
no, not no, no. They're all offense. It's all about scoring. I'm sure you're going to watch Kyrie drop 30 and Luka drop 30, but what? They give up like 130, 140. You've seen how they look before the break. I'm not sold at Dallas at all. Dorian Finney-Smith, losing him was big. He
Yeah,
was
yeah.
he was
He
their
was.
best defender, and they
I was
gave him up. They gave Dinwiddie up. They just don't have enough depth to get it done. If they had more pieces around Luka and Kyrie, you might say, "Hey, watch out." But I mean, who really fears Dallas outside of the scoring? Yeah, they're going to score on you, but they can't stop you neither. So I'm not sold on them.
it's going to be an interesting second half of the season, especially now. Memphis. Where they were and how they fought, how far back they
I
dropped,
was never sold on Memphis.
and now that the West got 10 times better. Damn John Morant. We said it before.
Go into
John just
him.
had to open up his mouth saying he's good in the
Open.
West. He just had to say it. And now look, the West, Kyrie in the West, D'Lo back in LA. The Clippers are getting they got Russell Westbrook, but they were still looking good without him, anyways. And KD to Phoenix. You still have Joker in Denver, who's the MVP back to back. Who
Just
is
might
it?
be a
I
third in
mean,
a
is it
row.
possible he might even win it 3 times in a row? The way how
It's
he's
looking that
played,
way.
this guy's a complete monster, and I feel like he doesn't get that much. Like a true NBA fan will give him that respect, right? Because of what this man has accomplished in Denver. But that's the problem. He's in Denver. If this was anywhere else,
Anywhere else,
this guy would have been
I actually
live
think
everywhere. But just because it's Denver, that's where I feel like it hurts him the most. But what this man is doing is just it's just amazing, and he's literally pulling up, Hall of Fame, close to Hall of Fame career numbers for him, especially if he goes back to back to back, because I
Right.
don't really see anybody else that will come even close to contend with him for the MVP award.
And you got, I mean, at first it would have been Giannis and Embiid, but they've just missed so many games that
Yeah, I think
they're
Giannis
pretty
already
much out
cracked
of
what,
it.
20 games missed.
Yeah, they're out of contention for it. So once you miss all those games, Jokic, I don't think he's missed that many games. I think he's missed like what, 2 or 3 maybe. And but I will say that him winning a third MVP in a row would be so, like, it would be kind of damaging. Like, it'd be great for him, but man, now people are looking at you. Okay, this is your third MVP in a row. Your team is healthy now. Like, no excuses. You're at the top of the West, best record. If Jokic don't get it done, people are going to start looking at him like you're the 3-time MVP in a row. Like,
And
you
then
got
and then getting it done. You mean making it to the NBA Finals or winning the
you
NBA
got to
championship?
you got to at least make it to the finals, man. Like, okay, if you lose to Boston or Milwaukee or something like that, okay, fine. It's Giannis, it's Tatum and Brown. I get it, but to not even get there, and this is your third straight MVP, and you got Jamal Murray back, you got Michael Porter Jr. back. They're playing now.
Yeah,
What's
yeah,
the
yeah.
excuses now?
Yeah, Rick goes on to say Jazz eating his words right now, but I still I still have them in the top four in the West.
Strictly because of that record they built.
I was just about to say that record of them kind of helps them out. They won't flirt with the number one pick. I mean, number one pick, number one seed in the West. They're I don't think they're going to reach that no matter what. Given how they started, and right before their losing streak, when Josh says he's good in the West, I mean they kind of kept themselves above water and will keep themselves above water. So I think the most they'll probably drop, depending on catastrophic records. I think they'll be definitely in the top five for sure.
And they'll
Um,
stay there because their record, I mean, their schedule the rest of the way is
it's
just
easy.
it's super easy.
It's super
So,
easy. I think they start off the second half with probably like the teams that had like the worst record. I think they're like 20 games below 500 or something like that.
well, they start
Something
off
ridiculous. I read the other day that their first 2 weeks are going to be teams that are below 500.
actually they start off with Philly, Denver,
Right.
and LA, but then
It
they
gets
got
easier after that.
right. They still have to play the Rockets 3 times, man. Like, come on, bro. Like,
Yeah, man, it's going to be an interesting ride here. There's like 23, 24 games left in the NBA
23.
season. And it's going to be an exciting run, an exciting finish to this, and it just sucks that, again, bringing it back to the Chicago and the Bulls narrative, man. We're not going to be able to see it, and if we do see it, we're not going to be happy because of the position that they put themselves into this. And by the way, before we move on to the next segment, how long or how much did you watch of the NBA All Star over the weekend?
I I only watched the 3-point shootout and the dunk contest. I watched like the first quarter of the All Star game and I turned it off. It was disgusting. Like, it was painful to watch. It was
Yeah, I didn't
literally
watch a
just a
single
bunch of
second. I
guys
have not watched an
picking.
NBA All Star game in about 7 years.
Sorry, Rick,
It's,
not at all.
no, I don't think the Heat are going to make any noise.
Absolutely.
No, I don't think so. Even though the acquisition of Kevin Love,
Mm-mm.
I it just
The East is just too tough right now.
yeah, it's like you can't put them above you can't put them above Milwaukee, the 76ers, and Boston's for sure, right?
I don't even think you could
Um,
put them above Cleveland. Cleveland's awesome right now.
I do agree on that one, but that experience will probably get them. I could kind of see Cleveland coming out of the first round if they do not face against the Miami Heat. I feel like Cleveland's kind of like the only top four team right now in the East where you're kind of like, if there's a matchup out there that the Cleveland Cavaliers, it being its first go around in the playoffs with this team, with this newly structured team, give them a team like the Miami Heat, are kind of like. That team, I was like, I kind of lean a little bit more towards the Miami Heat than I do the Cleveland Cavaliers. Anybody else?
I get it.
I'll give the shot to the Cavs.
I get it, but hey, Mitchell's been there. Maybe
That's
he'll
just one
figure.
player. What, like, it's Mitchell. Who else is on that team that's been in the playoffs? I'm trying to think of the roster on top of my head. I know it's Mitchell. That him for sure.
Him and Rubio are probably the only ones,
There you go.
but
But that's it. And it's kind of
and
like
if
you
you want
got
to count Danny
Kevin
Green,
Love that's already won a couple NBA titles. You got Jimmy Butler, you know his track record. Kyle Lowry, you know his track record, and as well as the NBA champion. You know that core, that same group of players in Miami that kind of were in the bubble making that NBA Finals run is still kind of there. And plus, you still got Eric Spoelstra, so it's kind of like okay,
yeah, that's the key here.
and that's the
That's
one
the
right there.
key.
You them having Eric Spoelstra with those players that he got gives that Miami Heat team just a little bit more of like, well,
But you're
maybe.
asking them to like they can't just keep, okay, we're just gonna make it through the season and just barely squeeze into the playoffs. You can't expect these,
Right.
Miami guys to go on the road and beat one of these top East teams strictly off experience. Like you've got to fight for that. That home court advantage was big for them last year. That's why they made the Eastern Conference Finals. They had the best record in the
I
East.
did. Yep.
And to ask them to like come in as what, a 7 seed, maybe a 6, to try to beat Cleveland, Philly, Milwaukee, like you're asking a lot of them, even with Eric Spoelstra and Jimmy Butler.
All right, yeah, for sure. I think what's Philly and Boston to me, they're on a whole nother level. I think we're going to see those two teams in the Eastern Conference Finals, hands down. I think I'm already marking that right now. Right after this podcast, I just don't see. I mean, yes, you give Milwaukee a shot because of Giannis, but I mean, you still get the edge a little bit above those other two teams before that. So, ooh, well, I'm excited. Well, I can't say I'm excited. I'm more excited of what the overall NBA platform is going to give us this upcoming season because there's that's pretty much it. The Bulls season to me, it's over. If I
Yeah.
see they win, I'm gonna be pissed. If I see they lost, I'm gonna be happy. So I
Right.
mean, that's the only thing I give you about the Chicago Bulls, and we just have to run these next 24 games as much as we can, and then just enjoy everybody else. Like, and that's the common trend of our beloved Chicago sports teams that we have to enjoy other teams having fun and somewhat postseason success in all different platforms, in all different all different sports. From hockey to football to baseball to soccer to everything. Like we have to enjoy other teams, and that's what's bothering me because this team probably had, if you were to rank the Chicago teams of who has a better shot at making the playoffs, we would all pick the Chicago Bulls. Like the Bulls would
Based
probably
on
been
the
the ones
team you're
up there.
looking at.
And now look where we're at right now. The Bulls are now just, but like I've been
The
starting to hate
Bulls are
watch the Chicago
doing
Bulls.
what the White Sox did last year.
Right, like I'm just starting to hate watch the Chicago Bulls, but now I got to find a positive spin, and I found my positive spin, so I'm going with that. Speaking of the White Sox, it's a great transition. Where the baseball is back. Pitchers and catchers reported last week. CP, I want to do something real quick. I know you're a Sox fan here. What is your interesting storyline for the Chicago White Sox this upcoming season?
I gotta see how the new manager like gets us going because they like White Sox they caught a lot of flack for hiring Pedro, and I gotta see how he's gonna get these guys ready. Like last year, it's like they came in like with this like entitled feeling, like oh yeah, we're gonna win the AL Central without question, and then Cleveland slapped them upside the head. So I my focus is literally the manager and how he can get these guys going. Because to be honest, who was the manager before him?
Tony La Russa.
Not Tony, but
Oh, you're talking about
Rick.
Rick Renneria.
Yeah, like he caught a lot of flack, but like I feel like the White Sox played under him. Like I just I'm just focused on what he can do for them because like there's no reason this team, even with what Cleveland did last year, I still feel like the White Sox have the best team in the AL Central. It's just like how you perform under your new manager.
Okay, I'll give you that one. Um, to me, I think the most positive spin I guess I could put on the Chicago Cubs. Like, can they really? Now, we got new players in. Obviously, Dansby Swanson comes on, right? Obviously, shout out to his wife who scored a goal today in the She Believes Cup, beating Brazil 2-0. Side note on that one. Um, it just to me the positive spin for me for the David Ross finally has somewhat of a team to like kind of push, see how far he could push, and make this team see how far he can push this team, right? And seeing what the Cubs really need, right? And I think next year, and I hate these rumors that are circulating about say Suzuki over here trying to recruit, Shohei Ohtani to
Shohei,
come
yeah.
to the Cubs and whatnot.
Why would you
Which
hate
will be
that?
excellent.
Why would you hate that?
It will be great. It just the reason why it's already too soon. We're looking already ahead instead of looking forward to the season. This season should be like, okay, this season is all right. Let's see what we have. We ended up the season last year as the fourth best team after the All-Star break, the
Mm-hmm.
fourth or fifth best team in baseball last year, right? Bunch of young cats are just doing their job, and we filled in some of the holes that we needed to fill in. Obviously, it's not top-notch players. I mean, we have Dansby Swanson, yes, and see what we're gonna do with Ian Happ. We let Wilson Contreras go, but
You
the
brought Eric
Cubs,
Hosmer on too, right?
right? Eric Hosmer, we kind of got. Well, I
Trey
think
Mancini.
we've gotten a team to where, and Cody Bellinger, um, we've got a team to where it's like, okay, I see what you guys did, right? And the first half of the season for the Chicago Cubs is a big question mark for me because of like it's going to indicate on where the Cubs are going to take this route. If the Cubs are like, let's say before the All-Star break, second in the NL Central, you know, they have the last spot of the wild card. They're missing this few pieces here and there. Are they willing to trade their pieces to make a playoff push? Or are they going to trade the Bellingers, the Hosmers to another just to regroup that farm system once again, and then worry about getting more money for the following season and get more players back? Like that to me right there is a big storyline of what route are the Cubs are going to go by the midway point.
You probably just answered your own question. I mean, it depends on where they are. Like, do they
But
buy
even
or do they sell?
I mean, because look, it's you could still be at that point and be like, you know what, guys, I could kind of see where next year we can actually do this. Let's just get more players, and I know we have the last spot in the wild card, but like if Bellinger is playing this well and we can sell high in this player, look what we can get in return. Even though we're kind of in the playoffs, you know what I mean? Like that's the one right there. Like Hosmer's playing very well. We could get something off of him or get something for him. Are we going to trade those pieces away? Are we going to do like that's what I'm waiting on? Like, but if the Cubs suck like they have been for the last couple of years, and they're not doing that well with all these players, it just feels like they're going to be stuck with these players, maybe minus one or two for the rest of the season. Bellinger's on a 1 year deal, right? I mean, Swanson's not going to stay. He signed here for 7. Hosmer, he's on a 2 year, 1 or 2 year deal, right? I already named you two players that may or may not be here at the end of the year, but then it comes to everybody else around here. What are you going to do with Ian Happ? Ian Happ is another question too as well. Are you going if they're on that verge of making the playoffs, but not really? Are they really going to sell Ian Happ if he's having a good season too as well? So it's kind of like, okay, I get it. We're excited. We should be excited. I do hope they're above that threshold so we can be like, all right, let's be buyers and then maybe we can make a run out of this in the playoffs. I'll be happy for that. But with this Cubs teams, you just don't know. I'm
Yeah.
just being kind of taking that step back real quick and just be like, all right, you know what? Let's just see how you look for the first half of the season.
I mean, who's really untradeable on this team if they
No,
if they don't get it done?
I mean, untradeable, probably
Like,
Swanson because you just signed him
yeah, I
for.
mean, yeah, you just signed him, but I mean, he's still in his 20s, right?
I think he's like 27, 28. He's
Right.
around there.
Yeah, I mean, he would probably literally be the only piece you would probably Suzuki maybe.
Hey, we still have him for another like 2 3 years. He's also 28, 27, 28. Maybe that, and if you really want Shohei to come, obviously he's a big piece for him to like, hey, come on, Shohei, let's.
Based on what I'm hearing from the Angels, it's not far fetched, man. I don't.
No, it's not. I mean, he may be even traded before this year. Like if he could walk away from the Angels for the free, I think that's bad business on the
That's
Angels. But
damaging on the Angels franchise.
the
That
haul
would
for
be
it. What
devastating.
team is willing to give that much prospects and probably ready-made players for this one player who, let's be honest, he plays two positions. He's a DH and he's a pitcher. You're not going to see that. That dude's a unicorn.
You literally, you have to give
He's a
up. You got
unicorn.
to give up the whole farm, bro.
Exactly. You have to give up at least your number one, your number two, or your number three. You got to give up two of your top five prospects. You have to give up some type of draft compensation. You have to give up maybe one or two major league ready players for one player who plays two positions. It's kind of like, okay, it's exciting to see, but I also at the same time it's like, what team is willing to break the bank?
I
But
can
then
see the Cubs doing something like that, though. That's the thing. They've been known to be aggressive. Like, you don't think they can make a move like that? I know the White Sox wouldn't.
the thing is, though, CP, about that though is the Cubs ever since 2016, right? Ever since we made that trade for Aroldis Chapman, right? Back in 2016 to win the World Series, right? We sacrificed our farm system for those type of players. It paid off. I get that, right? But then with the Cubs, what they've been doing for the last couple of years, even after trading off Brian and Rizzo and Baez and letting Hayward go and Wilson go, not getting anything from him, like ever since that those players have up and went, the Cubs have been really adamant in building up their farm system once again. And that's the route that they're going to take. Just for them to kind of blow up their farm system once again to get Shohei back. And I get it. You'll have your number one. You'll definitely have your number one, your ace on that rotation. You'll definitely have another left-hand at bat for the Chicago Cubs in your roster. I absolutely get that, right? But then you're banking on trying to win in the next 2-3 years. The difference between doing this and doing what the Cubs did back in 2015 was that the players that came up from the farm system were your own home players,
Right.
and they had no pressure to win. 2015, I'll be the one to say this. Yes, we won in 2016, but 2015 to me was more magical than 2016, even though the Cubs won in 2016, simply because of the no expectations. They went out there and played, and it was a fun ride. And we didn't even expect it. A, we didn't expect it to be in the playoffs. B, we didn't even expect it to be in the NLCS. Yes, we got swept, but that was a fun year because there was no expectations.
And it was all homegrown talent.
It was all homegrown. In 2016, we expected it. If the Cubs do something like that, we expect the Cubs to win within the next 2 or 3 years with Shohei on this squad. That's the problem. Like, the pressure will already be up there instead of building up on it.
So you feel like now's not the time to do it. That's what you're probably saying.
Exactly. And that's the one reason why, like, I wouldn't give up. Pete Crow Armstrong, I think he's the one that the Cubs are probably won't.
They're definitely going to ask for him.
Exactly. And I don't think that's what the Cubs are willing to do. And I feel like whatever they do with Ian Happ, Pete Crow will be up here next year. Maybe. But I definitely, if they let Ian Happ go, definitely he's going to be up here. Even if they do sign Ian Happ, because I think Ian Happ, he does give you good defense. He hits from both sides of the plate.
Mm-hmm.
Solid player. You can keep him, and he'd be a good piece. And plus, he's already been there, done that with the Cubs, anyways. So it's kind of like, I don't know, man. This year has, as excited as I should be, I have a lot more questions simply because of what route they're going to take, and that's what route are they going to take if they do come up midway point to the season. That's all I have to say. So. Yeah, man. I mean, I'm excited for the season. I think I haven't been excited for a Cubs baseball season since
probably about 5-6 years.
2019. Right. And it's just yeah, I'm excited to finally see actually a decent. It's a decent roster. I'll give you that. It's a decent roster to actually keep your eye on, just side eye it. And I'm like, okay, cool. They're doing something.
I mean, besides the Cardinals, who still have suspect pitching to me. I mean, what, are you really scared of the Brewers? I mean,
no, I think the Brewers' magic is
gone.
It's gone.
And you know the Pirates aren't going anywhere, and you know the Reds are tanking. So
yeah, and obviously I think it was Liam and Ginger over here. They were earlier in the comments saying one's a Reds fan, Ginger's a Reds fan, and Liam's a Pirates fan. So it's kind of
what?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Those are real?
Yeah, those are real, bro. I'll even show you the comment. Thank you guys for joining too, by the way, Ginger and Liam here for hopping on. But I'm looking for the comments right now. Here's Ginger. He says, I'm a Reds fan, by the way. Right? And then Liam over here goes, he says, I'm a Pirates fan. Yeah,
Huh.
those
Go
are true. Yeah,
figure.
they're out there, bro. They're out there.
I don't think I've ever met a Reds fan.
I have. I think I've known somebody who's a fan of almost every team except for the Rays, the Marlins, and the Angels. Those are the only three teams that I don't know
Oh,
anybody who are
besides
fans
the
of.
White Sox, I'm actually a huge Angel guys, and that's why I'm so frustrated with their organization. But But yeah, I see no reason. Cubs will literally be fighting the Cardinals. I mean, based on this roster,
No,
it
for
looks like
sure.
the Cubs are fighting for a spot. Like based on who made the playoffs last year, I don't see why the Cubs wouldn't be able to make it in the NL.
Well, the thing is, it's only in the division, right? And I still feel the Cardinals are still
Right,
far
right,
ahead of the Cubs, right? But it's everywhere else. It's you still have the West with, the Dodgers and the Padres. You still have the East with the Braves and the Mets and the Phillies,
right.
right? And it's just kind of like those are already going to be, taken by those teams. Whatever San Francisco does, because somehow, some way, San Francisco just pops out of nowhere.
Uh, I think Aaron Judge losing Aaron Judge was a
Right.
big
But
problem. Them.
regardless, right? I'm just saying, popping out anywhere, just to name a few teams, but just in those two division alone, just with the Dodgers and the Padres, right? That's already one champion for the West, one for the wild card. You have the Mets, the Phillies, and who I said Mets, Phillies,
Braves.
and the Braves. That's three in one division. That's already two other wild card spots that may or may not be filled, and you still got the Cardinals. So it's kind of like it's the NL Central or nothing. You know what I
Right,
mean?
but it's
And
not
that's
far
that's why
fetched to
to
think
me
they
I'm
can
just
get
kind of
there.
like
Don't get your hopes up.
right. But if we're there, cool. If we're not, I'm fine of improvements and waiting till next year and make that big market splash and that money splash for Shohei or anybody else that comes for the free agency. And I'd rather not give up my prospects, my assets for that. And if I could trade away, the Bellingers, the Hosmers, and all the other players, the Ian Happs, for more prospects and grow that way, I'm cool with that too. I'm fine. I have no expectations. I just want to be better than last year. And what they finished
Right,
last year and
right.
how they finished last year, I'm on a good note on how the season should start for the Chicago Cubs.
Like then they were hot coming down the stretch last year.
They were the
Like
fourth
sweep of the
best team in all of
Mets.
baseball last year
I
for a
didn't forget
reason.
how they swept the Mets like that, man. Like that caught me off guard.
Yeah, yeah. And if they were just, I think if they were just only like 10 or 15 games better in the first half of the season, the Cubs would have been in that playing game. That's all it took. They weren't that far off, but they were just it was just a matter of 10 to 15 games. If they were just better 10, 15 games in the way how they ended it, they would have been in the playoffs. It's crazy, right? To think that the Cubs last year that completely sucked and nobody had no hopes. We're that close. So damn, man, we already went an hour. We didn't even talk football, man. That's crazy, right? And I get it. Football season's over, right? And I know one of the topics up there is like, why is there so much smoke for Justin
Go
Fields
be long
getting
6
traded and
months.
stuff like that? And it's weird. And the only reason why I say it's weird is you guys are listening and watching the JCA Sports Podcast, and we got the next 10, 15 minutes left with you guys here with CP, myself, Eric Avila, guys. And just make sure you follow us on all our social media platforms on the Star Six Media Facebook page and also the John Conavi Facebook page too as well. As always, like and share all of our shows, all of our other podcasts, like Only Football, who will be on a hiatus and we'll be back pretty soon, obviously, when the draft is coming right around the corner. The one thing, and it scares me a little bit, CP, and I'm only saying this, it only scares me, but you also have to see in an organizational type of group that all this smoke is coming from, reporters, sources, people here and there. They're saying that people from Chicago, they're hearing things, they're rumblings that they might trade Justin Fields and so on
Oh
and
my
so
goodness.
forth. And last week I wasn't on the show simply because again it was my girlfriend's birthday, and yes I was in the chat, but I really wasn't paying attention or whatever I heard and stuff like that. But how first of all, how did you feel? What did you say? So that way I could feed off of you. What did you say? Would you rather trade? Or would you trade Justin Fields? Yes or no?
Absolutely not.
Okay. Put it in this perspective. We all know that, or at least we feel like we know that the Bears are willing to trade the number one draft pick, right? Let's just put it in a very hypothetical way, right? Let's take a step back or two, right? Let's just say if who's number 4? Let's say who's number 4? The Colts, right?
Right.
Let's say the Colts offer you their number 4 pick, their number 1 draft pick next year, their number probably, and maybe their number 3 this year for Justin Fields. Would you do it? For 2 1s and a 3?
2 1s and a 3?
Yep.
I'm not gonna lie. We can't turn that down.
You see what I mean? Like this is.
But
this
are
is
they
why,
really gonna offer something like that though? Like, I don't.
Right.
I don't.
You're getting the number 4 draft pick next year, right? Who's to say they're not going to be that good this year, right? Even though they got Justin Fields, who's to say they're not going to be good this year, right? Let's say that their number 1 draft pick is within the top 10. Okay. You get another top 10 draft pick next year, and then you get their number 3 pick this year, right? Because obviously, if you keep the number 1 pick and you do end up drafting Bryson, the next best option is trading Justin Fields to get value. Because remember,
at that point you're not gonna have a choice.
Right. I mean, we'll see, right? But the thing is, where I'm going with this EP is like everything is up for the table, even trading Justin Fields, and I don't think it's really such a bad idea. Now, granted, look, what Ryan Poles will do in this, and there goes Jose saying hell no, right? And trading Justin Fields there, and I get it. We all, I like. Let me go out and say this, right? I do like Justin Fields. I think he's going to be a really good quarterback, and he's going to be a good quarterback for years to come for the Chicago Bears if he stands tall and stays healthy, right? But given Ryan Poles, what Ryan Poles will do for him is to reset his time with the Bears organization for another 4 years to come. Think about this. Like I said, if you trade Justin Fields for 2 1s and maybe a 3 and a 2, no matter what year and what order, right? It's something that you could kind of consider about, depending on who you're trading with. Let's say it's the Houston Texans, right? Let's say you go back to back and number 1 and number 2, right? The Texans you'll give up a number 1 draft pick this year for sure, obviously, because that's the main focal point right there for Justin Fields is giving up your number 1 draft pick this year. You're not going to get their first round this year because they got 2 number 1s this year. But you will probably get a second round pick this year for them, a first round pick next year, and maybe like a third or fourth for next year's draft. That's 4 picks for one player who's already proven in the NFL and a team like the Chicago Bears that needs players to build on. Come on, CP. You don't think that's such a bad idea?
I'm just scared on the circumstance that you trade Fields wherever you trade him. I mean, if he gets sent to Houston, he's not going to succeed there. I don't care what they do. But like, let's say he ends up with a team like the Colts or the Raiders or the Falcons. The Falcons, I've been hearing the Falcons a lot. I've been hearing about him being sent there a lot. But if he goes to one of these teams and he just becomes like because we already see what he is, but like if he even flourishes more just because of how badly built our organization be, and he just goes to somewhere where there's some stability and he's able to perform well, and it's just like, damn, now I'm sick to my stomach that we let Fields go, that we sent him away so quick. He hasn't been given a fair chance yet, and that's why I don't think it's fair to like acknowledge trading him because he's shown us excitement with shitty rosters. That's why I don't think people is acknowledging like these Bears games are watchable because of him. When the last time the Bears games were watchable because of a player on offense. When was the last time you remember that? What, you want to go to Matt Forte, Jay Cutler, like Brandon Marshall? Like, no, none of those guys have shown us
No, you're
what
right. You're right.
what Fields is showing us what he can do with just any team. But you put a roster around this guy. I'm sorry, but I got to see that how that looks first. Like, I know people are excited about Bryce Young and all this, but like, I'm excited about Justin Fields. That's how I feel. That's how I felt when Bears moved up and drafted him. Like, I'm
Yep,
like,
yep.
okay, we got our guy. Like, let's just give him something to work with. And if, like, let's say 2-3 years from now, okay, Fields hasn't really improved, even with an improved team, it's like, okay, then you go from there. But I don't want to make a move like this and it backfires, and there we go again, looking like that organization. Like, we're already the laughing stock on TV. Like, nobody ever talks about the Bears. And now Justin Fields is here. We're talked about.
No, and I get it, right? And you're absolutely right. Again, it is a talking point to talk about this simply because it does bring you that this conversation, right? Because you have to look into the whole entire thing. Ryan Poles, Justin Fields is not his guy. And that's the one thing about when a new GM comes in, that the GM wants their quarterback, a la Mitchell Trubisky, right? A la, even though Angelo had Jay Cutler and they traded for him, he went through 2, 3, general managers with even Phil Emery, but Phil Emery couldn't do
And
anything
you're
about that
right in
simply
that aspect.
because of the
You're
contract.
you're right in that aspect because Mitch wasn't Matt Nagy's guy.
No, it wasn't Matt Nagy's guy. And
He's
that
just
that that was the thing. Normally with the GM brings his quarterback.
so it wouldn't. That's why you bring that up. It wouldn't surprise me if Ryan Poles decides to take Bryce Young, just strictly because this is the guy that was here. But
Right.
like, maybe I see something in this guy that I like better. So it wouldn't
Right.
surprise me. It just
Right.
a
And
lot of hair
and
trigger.
that's the topic of conversation. Look, it's everybody saying Bryce Young has the arm. He has the arm talent. He has this. The downfall is that he's small. He's as tall as you
So
and I.
he's so small.
Right. He looks tiny. And watching watching Alabama a few games this year, you could tell he looks kind of small. He does look kind of small. Now, honestly, in the NFL, you're gonna gain a few pounds in muscle because you got to build into that body. But is he gonna grow? That's the thing. Justin Fields is already that 6'2", 6'3" guy. He's already 200 pounds. You already know he could take a hit. He's that guy. He's already well prepared. And Jose's going on here. On and on. Let me get into his comments here. Apparently, he doesn't like it. He said, "I will not make that trade. Fields to the Colts will make the Colts playoff bound team." He said that number one pick next year won't be as valuable. He said, as soon as you trade Fields, you go back trying to solidify a position that you never solidified your entire existence. You know what you have with him. And then the last one, he says, which is a legit quarterback. Again, I only bring this up because I personally feel as it's not a bad idea trading Justin Fields. I don't. I like the kid. I do. I really like Justin Fields. I think we finally have a quarterback that we can all wake up on a Sunday knowing that hell, we have a damn quarterback that we enjoy to watch. And you're absolutely right. Everything that you said was correct. That we get made fun of. You see the list of quarterbacks from years and years and years and years, and all these times that they played, from Mitch Trubisky to Mike Lennon to Cordell Stewart to Jay Cutler to McMahon to this, while the Packers only had Favre and Aaron Rodgers, right? And I get it.
2 quarterbacks for 30 years.
Exactly. And
That's
I
amazing.
understand that part. And everybody else, Tim Couch, and I don't know who else we had in our Matt Barkley and all that, right? Now I'm just naming quarterbacks from my over on top of the head. And you finally got that position solidified with Justin Fields. I get that, right? But with the team that's so talent restricted, the lack of talent that this team has around front, both offense and defense, like and most of the teams that are built outside the LA Rams are built with first round draft picks. You're gonna hit with them? No, you're not gonna hit all of them. I get that. You're not gonna hit. You're not going to hit your first round draft pick, but you will hit on your fifth round draft pick that makes the start, right? Which kind of balances itself out. Although one's a higher than the other, I get that. But it's in a team that's so talent deficient in the Chicago Bears, it's not a bad route to take, and especially if you do, like you said, what if you get
See,
back-to-back picks in this upcoming draft?
see, I feel like what you're doing, Eric, I feel like you're rushing the process. Like you're trying to get the Bears like into contention instantly, where Rome wasn't built in one day. You
No,
can't
no, I think you still have that longevity,
because you
right?
make that trade. What like Eric? Let's say you personally, I'm talking to you as a GM. You make that trade. You're drafting Bryce Young, correct?
More than likely.
Okay, you're taking Bryce Young on, and then you're doing what? You're trying to build around him with all these picks you got back.
Well, I mean, you still have. Again, I don't think you rush the process. I think it still takes its time to build. Because you're absolutely right. You're not drafting Bryce Young to win right away. You do that with Justin Fields, right? With Bryce Young, it gives you that time and that longevity to build Rome with a cheap quarterback contract to where you may have more money to spend and you don't have to pay this guy for the next 4 years, unlike you have to pay Justin in like what 2 years, and you kind of build everything else around it where the salary cap money you have players might come to free agent a little bit early, trades to make like that Tyreek Hill trade that you could probably get from somebody else, that whoever wants to become available to, and then you have that cap space to build around it with a cheap contract on your quarterback. You could become more flexible with these draft picks
So
with the
it's
cap
about
space.
flexibility. It's not about Fields' talent with you. It's about
No, no,
his
no, no.
flexibility.
Yeah, you basically reset this clock uh, back what 2 3 more years. Like you kind of you do like not a full reset, but you kind of do like a half reset to where you have everything to your arms to where okay, then you could become creative in that way to where you have multiple first round draft picks or you have multiple second round draft picks or you have draft picks galore with cap space to where okay, now let's take a big picture. What am I really missing that I really need to get? Okay, is this guy available for a trade? All right, maybe I can give up this. Like, and you still have capital upon capital, whether if it's money or picks, to get that player to build his team around, and then you start, accelerating this clock to start winning playoff or probably Super Bowl or just playoff game, making playoffs. Let's put it like that. Not Super Bowl, but making playoffs. Jose in the comments says, but the big risk is with Young is that you don't know if he will transition to the NFL well. You don't know that with any rookie.
You know,
Name me a rookie.
Alabama quarterbans, man, they haven't really
Well,
panned out.
exactly. Well, Jalen Hurts. Well,
Jalen
I
Hurts,
mean, he was
I
more
don't really count
Oklahoma,
him
but
Oklahoma.
Tua be outside the injuries. All right,
Tua,
cool. But you're
Mac
absolutely right. Alabama
Jones.
quarterback. It's the same thing with the Ohio State quarterback stigma too as well. Ohio State quarterbacks don't come out well coming out of this draft
You know,
or
when I
coming
look
out
at
into the
Bryce
NFL.
Young, what I'm scared of is what I'm seeing with Kyler Murray right now. Started out flashy, nice, but over time that size starts to wear on you. Kyler Murray.
That's a mentality issue right there for Kyler. I
I'm
think
talking about with his
Kyler.
injuries too. He's been dealing with hella injuries
Well,
because of
yeah.
his
Now
size.
what do you got? He tore his ACL last season, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean that's a big issue too as well. And I get it, smaller quarterback, and I get that. That's a big risk with the small quarterback, right? It just again, I'm not. It doesn't set your clock by 100 years. I think that's an over exaggeration from Jose right there. It doesn't set that back
That's
100 years.
Jose for you.
Yeah,
No
it's
way,
not.
Jose.
No, because perfect example. I think Jalen Hurts is probably a perfect example to put it like in this, right? Jalen Hurts was drafted not in the first round, but in the second round. Was doing well around it. You finally got him pieces. Look what he got you.
Philly Philly was kind of mostly built. They were only missing a receiver and a quarterback.
And they finally got it. And they got it. I mean, Trevor Lawrence was the out and out number one consensus draft pick number one 2 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
and he had the whole Urban Meyer situation, and you got him players, and look what he did. He mounted one of the greatest comebacks in postseason histories,
So
and
get
and made
Justin
him into the
Fields
playoffs.
players.
Right, and they gave him the players.
He can
Now,
make that
again,
same jump Trevor made.
again, maybe Trevor's probably the wrong comparison here, but I'm trying to find other quarterbacks on top of my head right now on the spot. But I think Jalen is probably the perfect one to set. Again, Tua, probably even put Tua. If Tua was healthy, look how hot the Miami Dolphins were at, right?
That was
Compared to
more
that, you give
about
him a
the
number one wide
weapons to
receiver,
me.
you trade away draft picks, you give him this and that, and he stepped it up outside of the injuries. He kind of stepped up his game a little bit. I was the doubter.
Mm,
I was the doubter last year on Tua Tagovailoa. But to be honest, he kind of made the Dolphins a little bit fun and exciting to watch, and actually had been a threat in the AFC.
that was, to be honest, that was more Hill and Waddle to me.
It's still, you still give him those positions, and that's only happened because you trade away draft capital to get Tyreek Hill, you pay the guy, and you drafted Jalen Waddle. Again, money and resources that you have in your back pocket to do those type of moves, and that's what I'm trying to get. Like, you can have that flexibility with trading Justin Fields if you get this right. I get it; it's a big risk.
That's what I'm saying. You have to get, if you make a move this monumental,
It has to
you
be
have
right.
to get it right. You have
Yes,
to put the right
and I
pieces around
completely,
Bryce
I
Young.
don't know. I just realized I have the baseball list back, and I didn't even switch it. um, but no, you're absolutely right. You have to get it right, and I think that's the one thing that makes and breaks GMs in the NFL. Like, you have to get your number one
Right,
draft
so
pick
you got
right.
the balls to do that.
Right, you have to do it anyways. But at the same time, let's just say, I get it. It's all hypothetical. But if it works, Ryan Poles is going to be looking like the genius at the end of the day if this transitions well to his point. I get it. And I know Jose over here again over exaggerating a little bit. He said, "Bro, I can't believe you're willing to trade. You're okay with trading him." Again, I'm only okay with it because of what comes with it. Again, the draft capital and the cap space to go along with it with a rookie quarterback. Because if you're winning within the rookie quarterback contract in your first 4 or 5 years, you're basically ahead of the game of the schedule. In going to Super Bowls, in going to playoff games, in doing this and doing that. He said the blasphemy that comes out of your mouth this week. Whatever the case may be. And
You got
that's a
him
touchy
muted right
subject
now.
because when we fall in love with our players, we kind of embrace them a little bit more than usual, right?
You
Because it's
think he's
hard for
speaking
us
out
to
of heart
actually
here?
have those type of players.
He's speaking out
You
of
know?
heart here. That's what you're saying. This is his heart speaking.
Right. This is him coming out with his love for his players in the fields. And again, I think we sometimes tend to forget that this is a business instead of sport. And this is where I'm coming from, because sometimes you really have to take your 2-3 steps back and look at the bigger picture. He said first you said the Bulls are a good team without Zach, and now you want the Bears to trade Fields. And then he said let's get rid of everyone in Chicago while we're at it. It just I mean I do feel like the Bulls will be better without Zach LaVine. But that's just the cancerous reason behind it all, and we all seen it. But I'm okay with trading Justin Fields because of what creativity you could come along with it. Like I said, with the money, with the draft pick, with the draft capital, everything that you can have, it's okay to have, because that way you can finally build your roster around the way that you can. And
Why?
it's not a bad idea.
Why
Is
can't
all I'm
they do it
saying.
now, Eric? What's different now? Are you saying they need more picks to do it? They have cap space.
Well, I mean, they lack talent on both sides of the ball. I mean, we need offensive line help interior wise. We need defensive line help in, we need linebackers. We need wide receivers. We probably might need another running back depending on that situation. I mean, I'm already giving you 5 position. Hell, depending on the health, we may need another corner or another safety in that secondary, to help out this defense too as well. But we need a lot of help in every different position in this team from front to back on both sides of the ball. That having draft capital and this cap space is not a bad idea to have. And then even then, so you can still have your way and just like, okay, like maybe I really don't like, I could trade for this guy, take up on his money, but this makes our team so much better. Yes, I have to give up, this amount of draft assets or whatever the case may be, but I know this team, we can do it with this team making this trade. This is something that the Bears never had. They've never had this type of money. They've never had this type of capital. They never have if they do end up doing this again, now I'm talking about if we make these trades, they'll never have this much. You're not going to use all the draft picks that you're going to get. You're going to trade them away to either A, move up, or B, trade them away to get players. But the fact that you have that much draft capital to do so is a blessing. Is a blessing. It's definitely a blessing, and especially with the money, it's not a bad idea. I'm just saying it's not a bad idea. That's all.
Right. So you're just saying it's not. You're like you wouldn't be mad if they did
Right.
it,
I
but
would.
like you're not saying they need to do it or they have to do it. Otherwise, they'll regret it. Like
Exactly. No. I'm just saying. Look, again, I like Justin Fields. I think Justin Fields is going to be a great quarterback. We get him the right help. I think the Bears can flourish, and I think the Bears will be good. Yes, his rookie contract is about to come up, and even though we still have that 5th-year option on him in his 3rd year, we still have times away with his rookie deal to build on this team. But I won't be upset if we do end up trading away for all these assets and everything else around him because the Bears are building a foundation for the future for this team to be successful for the next couple of years. And I get it. Jose goes on. He goes, but we have a lot of assets this year to fill out. No, we don't. No, we don't, because we have the number 1 draft pick, and then we don't pick until the middle of the 2nd round. So we have 40 to 30 odd players that are going to be picked before we have our next pick. So you can't say we have assets. Yet we have the rest coming on the back end, but
probably
that's 3rd,
have
4th, 5th round talent that may or may not hit too as well, just like the 1st
we'll
and 2nd
probably
round. But
have more assets once we trade the number 1 pick, though.
right, and we can have those assets too as well if we do end up trading that number 1 pick. That's even if they do.
What do
Right.
you think is worth more, the number 1 pick or Justin Fields?
See, now that's the great question right there, and that's the great, because I feel like if it's, to me, the greater haul you can get is the Tennessee Titans, where you could get multiple draft picks this year and next year, right? I feel if it's like the Colts or the Texans or anybody else that's within the top 5 to trade up, I think they'll probably ask for the number 1 for this and next, and or a number 1 and a 2nd round or somewhere in the middle rounds, and then a player. You know what I mean? Because the reason why I say this is because the Rams, when they traded for the number 1 pick for Jared Goff, they went from 11th or 12th to number 1. But look at the amount of draft picks that they gave up, right? That was the only way that the Rams got up, by giving up that amount of draft picks for them. And I've seen like the mock drafts and stuff like, and it's understandable. Like, look, you get 3-4 draft picks and a player from the Texans, from the Colts, from the Raiders, if you want to add them to it, right? But to get that plethora amount of draft picks have to come from the teams that are drafting 9, 10, 11. Like those type of teams that really
Because
want to
they
jump
need
up
to
to
jump.
get whatever they need to get, and that's where you get that big amount of draft picks. It just, which route I rather take. Obviously, to me, that's the only way that you can get value from the number 1 pick. I still feel you'll get a little bit more value trading Justin Fields than trading the number 1 pick. Just it's like 51-49 on the percentage and how I feel like trading one or the other.
I mean, based on it depends on what these teams think of Bryce Young. If they think he's that good, they probably will give Chicago the boatload to get him.
Yeah, he says our GM needs to do his job to fill in those holes with quality players. I agree.
That's his
I
job.
100% agree. With free agencies, with the draft, I get it. There's still ways to go, right? But again, in order for you to have that opportunity, you have to have those assets. He says, and they never had this type of quarterback. The Bears never had a quarterback, period. Since Cutler, let's be honest, Jay Cutler has been our best quarterback in our existence of watching the Bears football. I'm not dumb. I'm literally just bigger picture that people kind of tend to forget to see and just want to keep.
Mind your blood pressure, Jose.
Right. And he said, and then we won't keep the number 1 pick. I know we won't keep the number 1 pick. But if we do, Justin is gone, and I'm okay with that too. If we do, whether if it's Bryce Young, let's just say if we even traded to the Colts, we still could get Will Anderson or Jalen Carter. We can still, even if we traded to the Texans, we have back-to-back picks in number 1 and number 2, where we could get the defensive lineman and the quarterback. Like, it's we just need talent on this team. That's basically it. And yes, we can have this amount of money that we have left over, and yes, we have to spend it wisely too as well. Yes, there's There's a lot of questions. There's a lot of risk of what the Bears are at right now with the money and the little amount of caps or draft picks that they have. But like if they do end up doing all of this with the money, with the draft picks, guys, the Bears could become very creative with this. And this is why I'm saying I won't be mad if they trade Justin Fields. Would I want that to happen? Probably not. I really don't, right? Because we finally have a quarterback. Everything that you guys are saying is correct. We finally have a quarterback. We finally everybody's seeing us. Yes, and I'm with you guys 100%. I'm with you guys. All I'm just saying is that I won't be upset if the Bears do end up trading Justin Fields for draft capital and this and that, and the reset button won't be a hard reset as everybody thinks, simply because of what we get in return and simply because of what the money is left of. Because the Bears are saying they're not even going to spend most of their cap space this year, so that's
Right.
money in the books for next year too. On top of that, plus with
Because I think
the
it's
draft
safe to
picks, if you do end
say.
up trading Justin Fields, come on, guys, just looking at the bigger picture instead of that's all I'm saying.
I think
That's
it's
all I'm
safe to
saying.
say no matter what we do, we're not going to become a Super Bowl contender. You don't just become a Super Bowl
No,
contender
no.
overnight. You
Mm-mm.
build your team over time. Whether that takes 2 years, maybe it takes three. Who knows? But you don't just like you just give him piece by piece by piece over time. I'm not expecting them to just build this amazing team, build the Chiefs, or
Right.
well, or better yet, the Eagles, build the Eagles around Justin Fields. I'm not expecting that this year. I just expect them to be marginally better than what they were last year. I
And
don't
so
want
am
to
I.
see 3-14 again. If I see 8-9, 9-8, that's an improvement for me. I'm not expecting the Bears to just like 96 mil in cap space and a few draft picks. Like, because like you said, they don't have a shit ton of draft picks in this draft until
Nope.
they do something with that number one pick. So, like, you're gonna take your time and you're gonna build this thing over time. Just don't like. I just don't want to hit the. I mean, you say it's not a reset, but it's certainly gonna feel like one.
It's not a hard reset. That's all I'm trying to say. It's really not. It's hitting the reset button, but it's like how should I put this? What's a great analogy? It's like you hitting the rewind button, going back 15 seconds on your TV from the show that you missed something, and you hit it, and that's what it feels like. You're not starting over the movie. You're just going back to the spot that you just missed watching, or something that happened that you just missed. That's how you're doing. I don't know if that analogy fits, but like you're not fully starting all over. You're just going back to the spot that you missed, that something happened. That's all I'm saying. And what's
Okay.
up, Josh? Josh said, "Hey, what's up with the hard eyes? What's up, Josh?" Exactly. I'm expecting big from the Bears this offseason. I think you and I and everybody else that are Bears fans too, Josh. I think that's pretty much it. Like we're expecting big things, and I just want to be. I guess what I'm trying to say is I just want to be the voice of reasoning here for people not to be upset if somehow, some ways, the Chicago Bears do end up trading Justin
I mean,
Fields.
I'll be upset, but I like then I'll be interested and like I'll be glued to the team because now I'll be like, okay, let's see how this thing
See
goes.
how this
Let's see
kid
where the
is,
Bears
right?
goes. Let's see what they
Exactly.
go with this. Like, because now you got my full attention. Clearly, you know something that I don't. So, I mean, you're the GM. I'm just a Bears fan. So, let's see how you do this. Like, okay, sending Fields away that hurt. I liked Fields, but like if you know something that's going to be better for the team, I'm all for it. But
Same.
I'm just saying if you really screw it up, like
Yeah, he's
who
not going to be here for the for.
the
He's not going to
heat
last his contract.
the heat he's gonna catch from the
100%.
city, it's gonna be bad, man.
100%. I mean, he's going to get it no matter what. And again, whether if he does draft Bryce Young and he starts, and let's say he's like if he starts off slow, yeah, people are going to already go for his head. And I think that's where it's kind of like everybody's going to over exaggerate real quick because you're not going to get that with Justin because Justin's already an NFL proven quarterback. Yeah, duh, obviously. Like you got to give this team a chance, but again, at the same time, I just want to be here, the voice of reasoning. That if it does happen, with the Bears do trade Justin Fields for these amount of picks and all these the money and draft assets and all that stuff, just just bear with me, guys. Just be
If
patient with me.
Bryce Young turns out to be Patrick Mahomes, what you gonna come on this show acting a fool, huh?
No, definitely not. I'm just gonna. I'm like. I mean, I just be like I told you guys. Like you just guys have to just be patient with it. That's it. I'm not the big rub it in your face I told you so type of guy, right? Unless if it's like really really meant for. But to be honest, like, no, I'm just like, you guys just, I get it. We love our players. I understand that. But it's nobody likes to see, everybody likes to see here. Nobody has the peripherals to see over here. You know what I mean? It's just, I won't brag at anybody's. Like, I'm not saying he's going to be Patrick Mahomes. I think that's the biggest mistakes that these draft analysts does.
That's what I'm hearing. That's
comparing him to Patrick. Like that's the one thing you don't do. You don't. Patrick Mahomes is like the NFL's unicorn. You don't do that. You don't compare it. We just don't know. Let Bryce Young be Bryce Young, and put it like that. And if he does become a generational talent, then guess what? Hey guys, we struck gold with a quarterback that is a generational talent who's 5'7" but could do everything. You know what I mean? With a great arm.
He's 5'10".
I over exaggerate on the 5'7". I really don't know, but I know he doesn't crack 6 feet. That's all I know.
Oof.
And if he's 5'10", guess what? Me and him will look eye to eye at each other.
He looks a little taller than Kyler, though.
Anybody could look a little bit taller than Kyler, though. To be honest with you, bro, I feel like Kyler has to like jump on his tippy toes just to see him over the line, just to see where he's throwing it at.
If you do make a move like that, I just will hold because like at least put on some, muscle, some pounds, just Definitely. To like be able. Okay, you're short. We'll deal with that, but you have to like make yourself bigger. Like people are sitting there walking up to him, and he looks like a teenager. So if you're gonna be in the Windy City playing quarterback, you're gonna have to be a little bigger than that.
Nah, for sure, and that's what a lot of people. And especially these draft analysts are saying like his height, his size, he's small. He's a small guy, and he's absolutely right. But again, whatever the Bears will do, I'll be okay with it. No matter if it's just drafting the number 1 draft pick or trading away the number 1 draft pick and trading away just like whatever the Bears will do, I'll be fine. I won't say anything because I think they're doing what's best for this organization because I feel, to me, that the Bears finally have a path.
Something to work with. Like they're not just lost.
They'll just have a path. Good or bad, but at least it's a path. And I'll just leave it at that. The JCA Sports Podcast here on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch under the John Konavi Facebook page and the Star 6 Media platform too as well, guys. Make sure you follow us on all our social media platforms, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, TikTok, and Instagram. CP, I appreciate you, man. Thank you for coming, bro.
I couldn't leave you here by yourself.
It's all good, man. That's why I love you, bro. That's why I love you. I love you, man. I love you. Thank you very much for hopping on. John and Jose will be back next week. They're off doing daddy duties. Happy birthday to Eva, little Eva.
Yeah, happy birthday, Eva.
Happy birthday, little Toxica over there. The boys will be back with CP next week too as well. For myself, Eric Avila, that's my boy CP. We'll see you guys next week. Well, Jose's not here, so I can't really say it. But Eric, hit that outro. See you guys next. There you go, CP. See you guys next week.
What a finish! Wow, that is unfreaking believable. What a way for a ball game to end.
Oh, that's what happened. Oh, that's terrible. My God. The humanity.
They may be the drunkest couple in the history of sporting events.
I loved his face.
I would suspect that fan is done for the night. Here's the thing. When you steal something, don't wear it.